Club members, welcome back. Today's podcast is one I've been wanting to do for about a year. It is on the multicultural author, Malcolm Gladwell. Malcolm Gladwell is a multicultural club member by birth. He is also someone who I think embodies all of the things, all of the characteristics and traits that I believe make being multicultural so special. He embodies the characteristics and traits that separate us from everyone else. Inquisitive, not afraid to speak about difficult issues. And one of the things I like and respect about him most is he's not afraid to say he made a mistake. What I think happens to many groups is that they can't ever say, hey, I made a mistake. One thing that we do as multicultural peoples and multicultural community, I think, is we acknowledge our mistakes. And so I want to play for you this pretty amazing interview of Malcolm Gladwell. And I'm going to stop a couple times through, but it's so important for you to hear about this and to see this. I talk on and on about collective action. If we as a multicultural community, if we as multicultural club members, if we collectively support each other, if we collectively take action, we can address all of the problems that will confront us as we move forward. It's part of this model of economics. Collective actions will produce economic results which directly benefit me and you and our children and our nieces and nephews. This is important that we act collectively, and it starts with supporting people like Malcolm Gladwell. So I'm going to play this portions of this. I'm going to pop in and out, but I really want you to hear it because, man, this guy is something else. So here we go.
Minds with our David Pogue.
On Tuesday, a new Malcolm Gladwell book comes out, and if history is any guide, it will be a bestseller.
They're stories about ideas. They have characters, they have plots. I'm usually trying to say something about the world.
His first book, The Tipping Point, published in 2000, established the Gladwell recipe. He explores a theme through anecdotes and little-known scientific studies.
Tipping Point was about the epidemic is an incredibly useful way of understanding how ideas move through society. And epidemics have rules. So let's learn the rules, right?
His 7 New York Times bestsellers have sold 23 million copies in North America alone. His fee for corporate speeches is $350,000.
My podcast about things overlooked and misunderstood.
His fans have downloaded 250 million episodes of his podcast, Revisionist History, and he founded a company called Pushkin Industries to produce it.
The breadth of his ability, of his success, 7 New York Times bestsellers, the fact that he segues into podcasting, it shows this openness of thought, this willingness to consider other options, but also a thoroughness in what he does. It is that multicultural consistency. It is multicultural people like him that set this example for us. Parents, if this is who we point our kids to, doesn't that benefit us? It benefits us in this community. It's amazing. Multicultural exceptionalism. We're going to talk about it a bunch, even though I could barely say that word. By the way, like and subscribe. Watch some more of this. It's a really good documentary.
In other words, Gladwell has come a long way from the small Canadian town where he grew up, son of a British father and a Jamaican mother, whom he describes as subversive.
I used to skip a lot of school. My mom used to write me notes with a blank, Malcolm, dear so-and-so, Malcolm is excused from class today, and then the date would be blank, and I would just fill out the date.
He attended.
That fact about his father and about his mother, it really speaks to this issue of multicultural relationships, the multicultural family, the multicultural dynamic. A mom who says to her kid, hey, you go do what's important to you. You figure stuff out. I'm going to write you this note with a blank on it. It's fantastic. It is that multicultural parenting edge. It's that multicultural parenting distinction that we've talked about. I did a podcast on the difference between Dylan Raiola, who is the quarterback of Nebraska, and Shedeur Sanders, who's the quarterback of Colorado. And I said their parents prepared them differently. And that preparation is what is going to lay the foundation for their success one way or the other. This, when I saw the bit about his mom writing the notes, I said, that's incredible, and I'm going to do a podcast on it. A little bit more on this. I think we can agree it's pretty cool.
The University of Toronto, but his best education was the 10 years he worked for the Washington Post.
I knew nothing about newspapers. I was so raw. I was 23, I think, or 24. Bob Woodward was 2 rows away from me. I learned at the feet of the greatest journalists of my generation.
In 1996, Gladwell joined The New Yorker. He wrote about why, in the 90s, New York's crime rate plummeted in an article called The Tipping Point.
And from that, I get a book contract, and that's when the book comes out in 2000.
That book introduced a recurring Gladwellian theme, hidden patterns in the way the world works. He's a world-class contrarian about college.
You should never go to the best institution you get into. Never.
About working from home.
Sitting in your pajamas in your bedroom. Is that the work life you want to live?
About football.
I think the sport is a moral abomination.
Do you like being provocative?
Of course. You know, I like poking the bear. I mean, journalists should poke the bear. Thank you for buying 6 books.
Gladwell's fans love his storytelling and the aha moments they bring. His critics, on the other hand, wow. They've described his writing as generalizations that are banal, obtuse, or flat wrong, and simple, vacuous truths dressed up with flowery language. I mean, you cherry pick your data, you confuse correlation with causation, you oversimplify. I mean, you've heard all that stuff.
I'm fine with the idea that not everyone's going to like my work. 100%.
That self-confidence about being criticized or being attacked, it is a multicultural characteristic. It's one that comes from a diverse background. It's also one that empowers us to continue to move forward. The other part about that last portion was his discussing of mentorship. I learned under the greatest writers of all time. I learned so much in my life from amazing mentors, from a Peter Goltz, who taught me about politics, Walter Simpson, who taught me about law, Archie Welch, who taught me about running political campaigns. That mentorship component that oftentimes comes along with multiculturalism is invaluable and it's important. But here's one of the things that I like and respect most about Malcolm, is he admits when he was wrong. So many people are obsessed with never admitting when they're wrong. They think it's weakness. It's not weakness. It's strength. Being wrong is okay. Being wrong means you thought about things and you took a risk and you were wrong. It's okay to be wrong. In fact, it's empowering to be wrong. Wrong means that you're thinking about stuff and you're doing stuff and you're not afraid to take a big swing. Watch this portion, and it's a big deal.
People don't like anything.
But last time we profiled you, you told Kelafasane,
I would rather be interesting than correct. Yeah, that is an overly provocative way of saying things. No, what I meant was, if I turn out not to be right, I'm not devastated. I accept that as the price of doing business. And this is a studio. This is where it all happens.
Gladwell often turns his mistakes into new chapters or podcast episodes. In The Tipping Point, he explained that New York's crime drop was the result of broken windows policing. As he says in an upcoming episode,
little crimes were tipping points for big crimes.
But that philosophy led to New York's policy of stop and frisk.
Yes, doing 700,000 police stops a year of young Black and Hispanic men is deeply problematic. And we were wrong. I was part of that.
I was wrong, and I'm sorry. That's it. How few people have you heard say that in your lifetime? let alone one of the top selling actors of all time, let alone about an issue as important as stop and frisk, which turns out was just a nightmare and just racially motivated. Instead of hiding behind the facts or making excuses, what does he do? Malcolm Gladwell says, I was wrong and I'm sorry. Those differences, ladies and gentlemen, those facts, that existence, that's what makes being multicultural so important, is we can learn so much from people like us, from people who are us. Malcolm Gladwell is incredible. We need to support him. Collective action can accomplish every goal, it can satisfy every need we have. Collective action. Malcolm Gladwell's new book is coming out. Let's go buy it. Let's support it. But more importantly, let's take just the facts and information we've learned here. Let's be better people. When we're wrong, let's say we're wrong. And when we have to apologize, let's just apologize. Malcolm Gladwell is amazing. Being a multicultural club member is amazing. And if we act collectively, we can get it right. We can get this whole thing right. I'm Michael Fletcher. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you